According to YouTube, meritorious manumission was a legal act of freeing an enslaved African for good deeds as defined by the national public policy.
So let's talk about meritorious manumission real quick. Let's discuss that. All right, so you've heard that phrase. You've heard Dr. Claude Anderson talk about that for years. If you follow any of his teachers or read any of his books or heard any of his lectures, he's talked about it quite often. And when you hear that, you think, sounds kind of conspiratorial, like, that sounds good, but like, can you break that down and can you address that? But he also explains it in a way in the context of politics and how black politicians don't equal black success. We know for a fact that Chicago has the highest number of black elected officials per capita for a major city, but black people are economically, or there's 16 economic indicators, and black people are dead last in all those indicators in Chicago. So having the black representation does not equal to black success, right? That's just basic common sense. But we seem to not comprehend that. If you remember when Keisha got a fat ass bottom, was running for Atlanta, I saw a lot of black people on YouTube, and Killer Mike even, he tried to do the whole she's qualified thing, but, you know, he did say we almost elected a white woman. He actually responded to me when I said you shouldn't be telling black people who to vote for. He got mad and said, don't tell me what to do. All right. But you let them liberals tell you what to do when it comes to guns, and made you fake get mad at the NRA for doing something that they didn't do to your video, but that's not the point of this video. But black people made you apologize, and white liberals made you apologize for doing the video on NRA TV. But you have black people who are on that, I'm voting for somebody because they're black, right? And we know that that's not a logical thing to do. But one thing that Dr. Claude Anderson talked about, and other people have tried to repeat what he said and throw it their own way, about black politicians not necessarily doing things for black people, and black politicians having an issue with directly addressing black people. Now, shout out to my man Maze Jackson. Matter of fact, I'm gonna promote his stuff real quick. All right, I've said several times in my videos you should listen to the morning show, WVON. It's a Chicago political show. I probably know more about Chicago politics than I do about my own damn city, because I listen every morning. It's about, they start at like 6 and they end at like 10 Chicago time. It's almost 3 to 4 hour show. I probably catch like 3 hours of it throughout the day. But Mays, although he's a Democrat, I respect the way he does political commentary. He asks the tough questions. He's direct, and he understands that politics is a game, and you have to get yours to be in the game. He's not like Yvette Cornell or Antonio Moore or the other African dude that used to be with Yvette. They're gone, like these weird socialists that don't comprehend how politics really works. But despite him being a Democrat, I respect his political commentating. But if you see the what's in it for the black people, that's the question. That's his little moniker. That's his phrase. He's putting it on clothing. And he asks people who come to a show. Now, I've listened over the last year, because I think it's been a year on air, so the last 6, 7 months, or 8 months. And he's interviewed Van Jones. Van Jones was talking that multicultural kumbaya bullshit about DACA and immigration. They pushed back. Van got mad. Got that little high pitch in his voice. One like the Van you see on TV. But they made the point that illegal immigration does not benefit black people. And Chicago is one of these cities like California and New York where it does have an impact on black male employment in particular. But he pushed back. Van Jones didn't like that. He had I am somebody, Reverend Jesse Jackson, who, for all intents and purposes, was kicked out of the black delegation when Obama became president. He didn't mess with Obama. He didn't like the way Obama was condescending and talked down to black people. He wanted to cut off Obama balls. I remember that. So despite him being kicked out of that, he's still talking the company line. He went on there talking that same fuckity fuck liberal progressive immigration stuff. Mace Jackson to push back. They had a candidate for Attorney General of Chicago, black dude. This dude threatened Mace on air. Like, that shit got real. That was a heated ass debate. I might leave a link in the description box of that debate. Check it out. But he asked that brother the same thing. And this brother responds to Mace, what's in it for the black people, which is his moniker. And he said, that's divisive. I have to do things for all people. Right? So I'm just making the point that I've watched several videos and debates and interviews of black politicians on black radio spaces, and I see the same conclusion. I'm like, damn, Dr. Clark Anderson ain't lying. This moratorium thing is real when it comes to black politicians and speaking specifically to black people and what their issues are. So let's go back to the Breakfast Club. So I'm watching this interview with this young lady who's running for Attorney General of New York. I think the whole state, not just the city. And Charlemagne, which I'll give them credit, even though I critique them often when they do political commentaries because they tote the company lines and they do the same fuckity fuck liberal shit that every other black media outlet does, even though they've had people come on who've pushed against that. They've had Umar. They've even had Tariq Nasheed, which, whatever. They've had Boyce Watkins. They've had people who speak outside the box and don't tote company lines. So they shouldn't be going over the same shit over and over again, but they do. Now I give credit to Charlemagne because he asked the question that when she goes on Hot 97, they're not going to ask that question. When she goes on any other black media, she's not going to ask that question. Roland Martin's new YouTube show, they're not going to ask that question. So I give him credit for that, even though he didn't push back after she gave him that bullshit answer. Charlemagne specifically asked her, yo, why is it that Democrats don't address black people directly? Not even 2 seconds after he asked the question, she started talking about black and brown and people of color. Quick, like, instantly. Like, there was no thought in her mind, like, yo, this nigga asking me to care about black people issues politically? I can't do that. No, we can't do that. We gotta talk about everybody and all the people issues. And that was the point that Charlemagne made. He's like, yo, we always talking about illegal immigration, LGBT, you know, purple, whatever. Why don't we address the issues of black Americans in America when we're saying vote for us because the Republicans are evil and bad? What are we offering? We can't just be voting. Like, he acknowledges that, despite them having Bright Girl Magic Angela Rye on a few days earlier, and they talked all the same dumb shit and what have you. But instantly, she acknowledged. This is the other thing. He asked her again, why can't we get anything done? This is what she said. She was like, well, in New York, we can't get shit done because Democrats have the House, Republicans have the Senate, and they've had it for 100 years, and we can't get nothing done. So go vote Democrat all the way down. This is what this woman said. Go vote Democrat all the way down. Don't even look at the name. Just vote for Democrats. But the question was, why aren't Democrats doing anything for us now with the power that you do have? And she says, it's the Republicans' fault. We can't do anything with the power that we already have. Niggas ain't shit. But that shit was so smooth. Like, I've watched so many black politicians do this shit, but the way she did it, she ain't pushed back. She was just like, she's, well, black and brown people, people of color, blah, blah, blah. Like, he said black people. Y'all talk about people being trained and puppets and whatnot. You can't get a black person, celebrity liberal on television, to not add the brown part. They will, like, left and right, like, just instantly, black and brown. Like, it's just, like, they meditate on that shit every day and night. Like, that's just second nature to them now. Why can't they specifically speak to the people interest? Every other community addresses the people that voted for them. For whatever reason, black politicians don't have to do that. And when we do ask the tough questions and the real questions, we get some bullshit as, you're being divisive, or I'm including everybody, or like that Van Jones interview. That shit was hilarious. But that's just my video. I was driving home listening to this shit. I'm like, yo, that shit was smooth. And there's a couple brothers in the comments that caught that shit. Like, yo, this nigga said, what about black people? She flipped it with people of color. Like, that's not what he asked you. And then he made the point that Democrats with power aren't doing things for black people. And she blamed Republicans for that. And they said, vote for more Democrats. Man, I tell you. I don't know, people. I'm out. Let me try to find these links.
Approximately 103 black elected officials in the entire United States. I did a social discomfort indicator study to find out what the conditions were of black folk were in 1960. I looked at the unemployment rate, the dysfunctional schools, dysfunctional family, joblessness, unemployment, income, everything, median family income. Then I waited 30 years until 1990 and did the exact same study to see what had happened. Why? Because in 1990, 30 years later, black folks' number of representatives in elected office has gone up over 9,000%. I say if black folk have gone from 103 elected officials to 9,000, boy, we must be doing well in the country. I did the same exact study, discomfort indicator study, and found out that not only didn't black folks progress, guess what? They went backwards. They went backwards because there's no connection between putting a black person in office and getting benefits. None of them are going to do it. As soon as a black person gets elected to office, the first thing he's going to do is violate the sworn oath he just took. He'll swear it over and say, I'm sworn to get in office to represent those people who elected me to office and serve them. As soon as a black person gets to office, first thing I say is that I'm here to take care of everybody.
In mind, the question, what is in it for the black people with a Senator Kwame Raoul candidacy?
I think you'll have somebody who will take the same record of advocating for criminal justice reform to the Attorney General's office. One of the areas I don't think the Attorney General's office has been active enough in is on criminal justice reform. I think most recently she's been active on law enforcement reform. I think I will continue that. One of the things that people don't know about is there's, and I've been very active at calling out, is there's victim resources. I've asked the question, how many of the victim resources have gone to the most victimized communities? The Victim of Crime Act, federal funding comes to the state. It's coming to the state in millions. We have a community that has been traumatized, and it's important that those dollars make it to our community.
Sanctuary city, sanctuary state, the DACA. Where are you as the top law enforcement officer in the state? Where would you be on that, all that?
I think as a top law enforcement of the state, I'm not the federal government. It's not my duty to deal with immigration policy. As a child of Haitian immigrants, I'm sensitive to folks who have come here and as kids and
you kind of said two things there, though. I mean, are you one to support the entrance into Illinois of non-citizens, and then to give them sanctuary once they are here?
I am. It depends on the circumstances. No. I'm going to answer the question how I want to answer the question.
Okay, well, answer.
If you don't interrupt me, I'll answer the question.
Go ahead, brother. Answer your question, brother.
All right, I'm going to answer the question.
Yo, that shit got heated right there. But I'm going to leave a link to that probably in the comment section. But that was a heated interview at the end there. It got real. But that's how you're supposed to interview when you know about politics, when you know the policies. You're not just telling black people to vote for this person because they're black, but you actually know where they stand, what their record is. You did your research before they even came on. That's how you interview an attorney general of your city. Not what you saw on the Breakfast Club. That's not how you interview a person who's going to be the top cop in your city, where you just basically give them all these parades and aspirations and treat them like a celebrity. These are elected officials. You pay tax dollars to pay their salaries. The relationship should not be on some enamour, ooh, you know what I mean? Like, this interview is how you interview them, not the shit you saw on Breakfast Club. That was some bullshit, right? When he talked bullshit, both these men, Mace Jackson and his ex-co-host Charles, they pushed back. They asked tough questions. They got the brother hot and almost got real. But That's real political commentary. That's real political intelligence right there. Not that shit you see on Hot 97 or The Breakfast Club. Not even Roland Martin.